Yeah, I mean, T1, they didn't get caught. The final fight was good. Big mistakes from Bro on that one as well, but T1 setup was pretty nice, you know, minus the Yone ult and all that stuff. But I think if we go to another game that has close margins like that, perhaps Bro can succeed the second time around, but T1 will, of course, have side selection in Game 3 if we get to it, so now having that disadvantage with T1 taking the red side win in Game 1. A Renekton ban to come through towards Morgan. See this a lot against Bro. Maokai gone again. Same weird blue side Aurora Rumble bans.
No Ashe ban.
No Lilia. They voted jungle for POG in this draft.
Bro have made their vote clear, and that's really the only vote that matters. And it's actually T1 to ban away Ashe then. They say, well, we're not going to give you a chance to pick Ashe. Not sure if they were going to, but either way, Corki first pick does remain the same.
I wonder if Faker is going to go to the Yone again. I think looked a little bit uncomfortable in the game. Had some good escapes from some of the engages onto him. So they go Sejuani and Yone. There's some extra synergy there, of course. So certainly could be a strong rotation here in the draft. And maybe he has something else prepared or planned. Yeah, double jungle would be interesting.
Sejuani mid, obviously, will.
Yeah, absorb that Corki Gatling gun. I've got a lot of resistance to shred this. I can't reach him, though.
I mean, Faker could maybe play Viego mid. There was a lot of nodding, so I was getting a bit worried, really trying to grasp at straws. And thankfully, we don't have to see Viego mid. It is just going to be MF. And Guma did look very comfortable on that in Game 1, so it's just coming back.
This time, Leona isn't banned, though. So you can just go Ezreal Leona here and feel a lot better about shutting down that MF. Or just go Poppy. So that is a very interesting pick here. We don't really associate Poppy with our east side teams as being a strong jungle pick. It's technically still a flex, but it's more players like Oner, Peanut, Canyon occasionally who pick this one up and dominate the early game with it. So a little bit surprised to see this. But I like it. It's a strong pick. It's strong into Yone as well, which will be the lock-in once again for Faker. So very similar draft here for T1, but the Sejuani does give Faker a little bit more power in the lane. And as we mentioned in Game 1, it still could be played by Zeus.
Yeah. The Yone into Poppy and the Sejuani into Poppy, not exactly the most comfortable, but can definitely still set up plays, and the Poppy maybe absorbs the first brunt of it, but she's not going to be able to protect the entire team the entire time. So
I think the fact that LeBlanc is so strong into Yone is why we're seeing, it's not like, oh, Corki top is a thing, so we can play LeBlanc. It's just that they don't want to deal with the LeBlanc matchup, which kind of tells you this is going mid. Cannon is banned this time, and they could have banned the Leona. That's still up and available. That definitely could be what the bottom lane looks like here for OK Savings Bank. Brionne, once again, Cassante is banned. And we'll see what that final ban is going to be. With the Kennen ban, I don't think he banned Sylas. But could ban Gnar. Yeah, that's fair, ban, if they're going to blind it.
I feel like you can just pick Leona here if you'd like to deny it. Rel has been pretty strong for Keria, so they're just going to lock that one in instead. They say, go ahead, play Leona if you'd like. And of course, they will save the potential flex of Yone or just the R5 counter pick of the top lane for Zeus.
Yeah, do think that's really safe bet here. Leona feels like a given here, but the Braum is also available this time around. Be quite strong into the lane. Not as great in engage, but you have a Poppy here in this draft as well. The level 1 is incredibly powerful. Even if there's going to be a lane swap, for example, like we saw in Game 1, the Braum often does excel at shutting that down or getting a huge advantage. As Jax to be hovered here for Morgan.
Yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of things banned out in the top lane, so it does leave you in kind of a weird spot.
There's not a safe blind pick.
Yeah.
Just period.
No Gnar, no Cannon, no Renekton, no Cassante, Rumble, Aurora.
There's no safe ranged pick into the Jax because Twisted Fate's kind of countered. I guess this is your best bet.
Would be the only thing.
Yeah, I think it's your best bet. And
it feels like very weird with this comp.
You don't have a lot of ways to set up for poke. so it is quite awkward. It feels very gankable as well. GP is actually the answer. I feel like GP is way better. Ooh. I kind of forgot about GP, but they're going to go for the Jace instead. I think Zeus is perhaps more comfortable with this pick. It does have some synergy with the Sejuani. So does the GP, but anyways. The Yone Jace setup here is very awkward. You can just chip away at health bars and then Rel goes in and then the Misfortune kills everybody instantly, but you still have to play into the Braum. The Braum is going to be able to block a lot of that damage. You have the Poppy to threaten any pushing lane, so if Zeus tries to get ahead, he will be under threat of this Poppy. Poppy's great into Yone, as we've discussed many a time.
Yeah, I guess the Jace should have a good time into the Jax. And, you know, that's been a thing that T1 have played for many a time. Is, okay, we're just going to win lane, and we're just going to win the game because we're just better. And based off of Game 1, we didn't have a lot of gaming, but from the few team fights we had, outside of the weird messiness, T1 did look like the better team, and this is kind of their go-to in their strategy book, so it's comfort for Zeus. You just put him on it, you say, okay, go ahead, win lane, and we'll make it work.
I was going to say in a different way, basically what you just said, in that I think nameplate's off. I actually like Bro's comp more. I do think it has a lot of power with the Poppy in the early game. We'll see if it can handle lane swaps. I think that we probably won't see one in this game, but the Braum can really mess that up. So level 1 is incredibly strong, but we have the nameplates on, in fact. And it's the T1 that, yes, lost to Nongsha, but did win Game 1 in this series. Looked like by far the stronger, more coordinated team. And I think they should be able to get it done with this draft in Game 2.
Well, let's see what happens as we hop into the rift for Game 2. Game number 2 coming on in. Faker playing his third game of Yone in the LCK ever. As was mentioned before, if you missed it, his first game was in 2023 spring into Zeka's Kassadin.
Yeah.
And it lost. And his second game was the first game of this series.
That's right. So doubling up here. Very strong pick in this meta. I think you have to be versatile enough to play it if you're going to be a top contender in playoffs. Great ward setup here with the Braum. They can use the level 1 to get this line of wards. They have full vision on lane swaps, on where the jungle is going to path. I don't think Guma can skirt this. Will be seen. Right?
Yeah, there's just no way to get past those two wards.
I got tricked by the toggle, though. I was like, I'm pretty sure they see him. There's no way he actually went through there. No, he's hesitated for a moment and is then seen. So they're very aware of this, and this is what I was talking about, the Braum level 1. You get to scout the lane swap, and then you get to really put the pressure on here in the bottom lane.
So, where's Morgan going?
Well, that is the question at the moment.
Lord Morgan has greater plans.
He's just going to stop the Sejuani from jungling, and that will be a delayed red buff take. Going to force Keria over here.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a top laner. What's he? He's not allowed to play the game, so he's a jungler now. He's you know, he's rattling the cup I was talking about before. He said, "Can I get anything anywhere?"
Yeah, just one CS, please, Fate. And he will not be given that. Those win rates at the bottom, definitely just from this season. That's why Faker's 1-0 on the Yone now. Can be a bit difficult to trade into a Corki. I had to play this matchup in the first game, but we did have some weirdness in the first game as well.
Jax,
how this goes,
you know, is really strong at side laning. At level 1 in the bottom lane will offer some extra damage to that turret, but it's not going to be like the end of the world. Zeus is an incredible Jace player. If you've been following his career with great interest, as we all have been, you would definitely know that. So even though it's not necessarily strong for the comp, he is very good at the pick, and of the picks left available, he opted into this over the GP. There are very few other picks that would have felt okay into the Jax here with this comp. As Keria and Oner going to continue the vertical jungle here, taking away some of those camps in the blue side, jungle around blue buff. As with lane swap protection, this is going to be the faster takedown here bottom side, but we'll be split between 3 with Morgan joining in. So you see the gold is not that much they're gaining. We'll see when he decides to TP back in, because with a Jason and MF and a level 1, now level 2, Jax, a little bit tough to join, a little bit tough to get in there.
Yeah. I do think that We should see Zeus TPing down here once Keria gets there. Otherwise, Keria's just going to kind of sit around. He's going to be spotted by this Scryer's Bloom. And now that's 3 plates going over to Bro.
I don't think Keria can be here.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting a little bit of help for him, not just for the level 1 Rel to, well, run at the turret. So he's going to be zoned away from XP.
Zeus ends up staying here and is where he wants to be, but with the TP over from Morgan, he gets TP advantage, but very little else. Has a very slight XP lead, maybe like 20% of an XP bar. Looks like here. See, he's sitting at like 3/4 of level 3. If we click on Morgan, we'll know. I think he's probably sitting around like just below half, based on the push in the bottom lane. So relatively even in that regard, but a lot of gold went over to Envy in that bottom lane. 3 plates to the 1 that were taken for T1.
Yeah, that's where you get the win for the side of Bro. For T1, I mean, they were the ones that started with this lane swap, so probably just didn't want to deal with the Braum early on, which can be very difficult for the Rel. And at the end of the day, you're still feeling pretty good about this top matchup. Here comes Young Jay.
There are wards here because they expect this, so Zeus should be able to react. Taking a relatively safe back here, and with this wave crashing, he will be able to get away with it. Has TP, remember, since he was already in the top lane. So it's going to be, it looked like maybe something was going to happen, but he did his due diligence to make sure this Poppy in those early levels doesn't have the level 3 or 4 gank. And it's just going to be Young Jay heading back bottom. And we're brewing.
Yes, a bit of bro and brew early on in this one. We had a lane swap, but it wasn't very interesting. It just kind of ended up pretty even, all things considered. And now we'll just continue on our merry way. Now, Young Jay is Poppy.
Yeah.
So he would like to gank.
He would like to, but Keria would not like him to. So he's going to come over here and suss this out. They don't have vision, but they're very aware of the possibility.
Spotted pretty late, actually, as Guma probably going to have to flash away from this one. Nope, just going to cleanse, but the sun comes in onto Keria, taking a bunch of poke himself.
Dodging both of those Qs, actually pretty huge. A lot of lost damage there, and a bit of a delay on concussive blows to come through. Still, huge win here for Bro, in that not only do they push them out of lane, but we'll be able to take this dragon as well, as Fate laning well into Faker again.
Yeah, just quirky things. Also, we did have Paulo making his way up, so Faker eventually just realizes, well, I got to get out of here.
I don't remember if he did it in Game 1 as well, but he took first strike here in Game 2, so he's going to have some additional income into this melee matchup. So Corki's 2-item spike should be relatively accelerated because of this. I do like to see that. And pay no attention to the level 6 advantage here, because it is Jace. But going to be the Jax being able to trade anything back as Oner shows up.
Oner's
as level 6 himself. Pay attention to this level 6.
He has 51 CS. He's just been power farming. And he hasn't done anything else this game, and guess what? It's a very similar first blood. This time it's over to Zeus, though, instead of Guma, like we saw in Game 1.
Yeah, I mean, Oner did such a great job with the vertical jungling as Envy's in trouble.
And he's taking a whole bunch of damage. They push him out before the dive even really begins.
Yeah, I just think that's done. There's no way they can make anything happen here. They lost the wave. I mean, the new wave is coming through, but with Envy being this low, it's going to be very tricky. I mean, he's not going to be the one holding the turret aggro, but still a very risky situation, especially if Guma is close to 6. I don't think he is. Envy just hit his.
Yeah, not quite. Guma's going to back away from the duo as he still has his flash. As now the engage comes on in, Guma is going to be stunned and eventually goes down, but this is a lot that they have to commit to here. They do just trade 1 for 1. I'd say that it is good for Bro, though, as it is just their support, I believe, that did go down. Yep, yeah. Braum, and it was Guma as well in the trade.
Exactly, so taking away the AD carry, taking away his farm. Looking to continue to put that pressure on. Just 2 plates left in that bottom lane. I think the last sliver of health there on that second plate is there, so he should be able to get that relatively quickly. Morgan also will grab a plate here in the top lane. This game is very action-packed, actually, as we're going to go to a replay at a scary moment. Yeah, Oner vertical jungled really well, and while we saw, Young Jay spending a ton of time in the bottom side to try to put that pressure on, get the dragon, etc., he ends up hitting level 6, and this ends up being a huge opportunity for him to ult and kill the Jax. Down here, good flash to come through. Stun comes on to the Braum, so he has to tank that extra turret shot, but even still, Kill does go over to Envy, and it's onto the 80 carry, so absolutely worth here for the side of the bros. 1,000 gold behind, however. You look at the JCS, you look at the farm in the jungle, that's where a lot of that lead comes from.
Yeah, also all those plates in the top side. I mean, yeah, there were 3 plates that did go over, but they were kind of split between support and top and Envy, whereas Zeus was able to get a bunch, I think, solo up on the top side, or at least, you know, only split a couple of them and then was able to get a couple, so definitely feels like, you know, a bit of extra gold. Also, you like where the gold is on this Jace. Yeah, Zeus does have a pretty massive lead up there.
Less useful to have it on the Sejuani, but still relevant, as he does have his Zeeks already completed. And did have that level 6 for the tank, as this is scary.
Yeah, just trying to face check into this one. Now Poppy and Braum are very impactful, but the door finally gets held here, but it's still a ton of damage going into everybody as they just stand in it behind the door. But man, they did quite a lot. It's now Envy trying to peel here as we do get the flash away from Young Jay.
Very scary moment there on both sides. Keria does go down, but it's a trade as so much damage does get put into the bro roster there on the bro bottom side. And the Braum holds the door, but it's not going to be able to block all of that bullet time. So a lot of pressure in this bottom lane. They really desperately want that final plate. Balu's going to show up. And then will unceremoniously leave.
Huh, where have we seen this before? An MF just getting plates by himself.
Yeah, and Zeus getting plates by himself in the top lane. Jace will get all of them.
Yeah. And, well, a little bit of a flurry of attacks in the mid lane. But at the end of the day, this 1v1 is going to happen once again. Guma doesn't have his ult, actually. He's taking a lot of damage already as Envy is looking to take this trade, but eventually does elect to back away. Naked Rain comes down. Guma's still very low on mana. And Envy might look to push the issue here, as here comes Palu looking to land a Q of his own, and it's just going to be Envy and also an assist given over to Palu.
Yeah, Envy just sees blood in the water there, knows Guma doesn't have ult, and he could just weave his W's through the minions and hit those auto attacks as Envy. He get punished.
Yeah, Envy going for the cleanse as another stun is going to land, and that is just easily collected by Zeus, who is quite fast on the Jace. As now Palu's like, wait, where is everybody? Why am I here alone? What happened? Where am I? He is dead. That's a double kill now for Zeus, who has 3 in the game.
Oh, where am I? Where are we?
It's all very confusing.
I told you guys the brew was coffee, so, you know, I feel like I should know where I am, but I'm looking at the game state here, and I'm not 100% sure. Zeus is getting more plate gold. It was only split between him and Guma for most of those plate takes topside, since Keria went bottom early, so he got a lot of the gold, whereas it was a 3-way split for Envy and crew in the bottom lane. So he picked up a ton of money there, finishes the last plate, gets the turret. And we're going to go back to this play here. As you can see, the door comes up, but he still takes a ton of damage, and it wasn't set at the initial part of the fight. A lot of summoners have to be expended here, as Envy almost is able to maybe get something back. But then over here, let's see what he has to say during this play, because he knows he can W through.
That's what he said. He said, I'm fighting.
And they're all going to check to see if Keria is rotating over. You can see on the map they have no vision of where Keria is, so very scary.
And Envy plays this very well. You never want to just sit in range of the MF autos. You want to be in and out as the Ezreal with a lot more mobility. And so, excellently played by him. He gets a little help from Palu, who basically just picks up a free assist. But then this happens.
Yeah, it looks like he just didn't know that Zeus was here, and ends up just walking up and taking a shock blast to the face. And the rest of T1 are rotating down. Perhaps a lack of communication on what was going on the map there and where the players were missing. As it's 3 kills for the Jace, and Morgan is really struggling.
I mean, he just basically doesn't exist in this game. It's been really rough for Morgan. Like, he was down there, he was helping push, and he's like, all right, now I'm going to lean against the Jace. And ever since then, it's been really rough. As now we get another engage. It's another Chemtech Soul. Man, is Ox sleeping over there? Like, what's going on? Very sad. Anyway, we'll see if either of the teams care about it this time.
I think that they will not care that much about it, especially considering it's a 1 Drake split apiece. But, you know, T1 have Bro exactly where they want him. I mean, this Jace, we were talking about how it doesn't suit the comp, but it's so far ahead that it can kind of just do whatever it wants, because it just takes away like a third of anyone's health bar when a Shock Blast connects. As you can see, a big group up here for Bro, as they are going to be able to guarantee this turret. Morgan is just being left on an island in the top side and doesn't have a turret there. As gonna see any commitment to anything here. The observers are scaring us with the vision toggle. Is somebody hiding behind?
Yeah, I mean, Keria was there. I don't think he is there.
Oh, he is!
He's still here! The long-term gambit, as this is a Corki with flash, so we'll see if he can get out of this one. Yeah, he just, well, presses his flash ability. Yeah, really taking height on Bush to the next level.
Yeah. Well, see if Oner can stop this back. Does have flash. Maybe if he flashed Arctic Assault Speed, I guess he doesn't know exactly when the recall was channeled. But not worth that. If you flash miss that, then you're like, oh man, that looked really silly. Be happy with the flash they got in the bottom lane and also the force out. So guess what? Another turret for Zeus in my game 2 of Bro versus T1 round 2 2024 LCK Summer.
They just don't really have a good answer except bringing the whole team over to stop it, which this time they have. Basically the whole team. 4 members. And Zeus just runs away. Flash comes in from Paulo, and now Faker's going to get a big engage. Does get hit away, but now has to come back. Very awkward for him, but he still has his flash, and now they're looking to turn it. As the MF ult is going to get some nice damage down and really just taxi the rest of Bro away from this fight. As T1 still on the chase here. Zeus is gigantic. Really hit the shot blast. There it is. Goes on to the Jax as Morgan. Another one to fall.
I mean, this game is essentially just a wash. I mean, it's a tough matchup for the Jax, but with the extra resources Zeus got and those early kills, I mean, I'm not saying top gap, but I am saying in terms of gold, there is a pretty big gap, right? And he is just so incredibly relevant with 5 kills this early on into the game.
In this game, you know, you could say top gap.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a fair 1v1 for a lot of it, so I don't want to throw shade onto Morgan, but I feel like Zeus is obviously having a much larger impact, has much more gold, and ends up being a huge taunt button here. If you get Zeus out of here and you save the turret and you don't have vision, you probably got to stop chasing because the rest of the team will be coming down. Your Corki isn't here.
Yeah. And you mentioned in the draft, Wolf, that you go for the Braum, it feels good in the lane, it feels good against what T1 have, but you really lack engage. I mean, I guess you have Poppy, but you see how they're trying to engage in these fights. It's engage Braum and engage Jax. It's kind of lackluster.
It just felt super easy to, oh boy, Envy.
Yeah, he's in a bit of trouble. Oh boy, Keria comes out of left field and down he will go as Faker gonna lock him up, and Palu also on the run, getting taxied down himself. And Shock Blast is going to miss.
T1 just have such great map reads. They have so much experience, right? And they are a top team in the LCK, even if they have stumbled a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean they lost 0-2 to Nongshim in just one series. No shade on losing to Gen G, because everybody's lost to Gen G. But
it feels like maybe the one person that Morgan could kill is Faker, and now he's got some help from Fate to come on over. Faker's so low, and he will be taken out with that empowered auto. Morgan super low himself, just gonna walk it off, but now he's just gonna disengage with that one and say, well, we're just happy with the kill.
Yeah, gets Poppy ulted away. I thought perhaps he was gonna go for the snipe play with his ultimate. And every time Bro have to look for one of these picks, they have to use more resources than T1 have to use. So look at this. Zeus pushing top. Well,
oh, that's not going to work. Nice try, I guess. But, yeah, I don't know. He's going to flash. And again, engage Braum isn't a thing. We know this.
Yeah.
And they're not going to extend down the lane.
Unfortunately not going to be a play that they can make there. He has the empowered recall as well from the Herald take moments ago that now is no longer eye exclusive. You just see moments like this where Envy's trying to use his Qs to poke Guma, and we don't have more people on the map over here. And they try to go for the play on the Faker top side, right? And then they end up losing out on the mid turret. And, okay, you're trying to make the play on the Zeus, but then other things are happening elsewhere. Zeus doesn't get picked, right? Zeus is putting pressure on the top side of the map as well this entire time. So yeah, you got Faker, but you lose a lot. And, Morgan almost dies here. They do have to use the Poppy ultimate as well. They're going to be able to get this bounty on this turret here in the top lane. But the gold lead here is just so massive. And they even get this inner in the bottom. I mean, yeah. Every time you look at Bro doing a thing, T1 are doing an equal or greater thing on the other side of the map.
Yeah. Do you think T1 goes for the Drake this time? For some reason, Morgan's just going to let that one charge. I don't really know why.
I mean, it was fairly dark jungle, but the champions in that jungle probably couldn't have killed him. So
It's pretty rare for pro teams to hang around that spot 18 minutes into the game as well.
Yeah. I mean, T1 just going to take this dragon.
Extreme safety from Morgan.
It's not great that that charge does go off. It does mean the inhibitor is more exposed to a very, very strong Jace, who could potentially be in the side lane. Has his Brutalizer now online. Is going to fully index into lethality now, has his transformation. Zeus basically two-shots anyone with Empowered Shock Blast. You get hit by one of those, and then Guma ults, and Paulo doesn't have his door ready. That person dies. That's it's a sizable gold advantage here in the top lane.
It's yeah, it's pretty decent.
It's about like twice as much of the majority of the gold leads that T1 had in game one, and on one player.
There's still also that massive jungle CS diff. Also just the kill and the extra assist for the side of Oner. I mean, he's just basically been power farming, and whenever there was an opportunity, he went for it. And other than that, he's just kind of power farming, and he's very far ahead because of it. And he's going to be extremely tanky in these fights. Looking for his Warmogs next.
Looking for this turret here now is Zeus. Another turret for the Jace. More money. And
more money.
More money means more items. Actually, doesn't mean more problems in League of Legends.
Yeah. you kind of have to hold all those items though. You gotta juggle them. It's really awkward when you're just trying to run around and play the game. So maybe that's the problems, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're carrying them. I think they're actually just a representation of stats.
Where do they store those items, Wolf?
In the tab screen.
The tab screen. And he's looking for a way to store his health somewhere else.
Yeah, he does not have a BT this time, so he's not going to be able to get that back.
Definitely third item.
Yeah, I would say so.
100%.
Does he get a third item in this game?
That's another question. That was a nice slow, actually. Make a rain onto 3 people. Guma is very much out of position, but so is Youngjae. He's just going to be taken down, and Guma just blasts away. Meanwhile, the rest of Bro is just on the run as in comes Keria, gets an engage on a 2, but the Braum is doing a good job on the disengage. Not going to help out Envy here as he goes down to Faker's max range ultimate. Going to land it this time. And that is 3 kills over to the side of T1 as they are really running away with this game, too.
They may have lost to Nomshim. They may have shaken their fans' faith a little bit, but in game 1 of this series, they were able to lock it up in a late game team fight on an Elder. Some good decision making leading up to it. In game 2, it feels like T1 is just back on the horse, Valdez. It looks like this team is crushing Bro the way you would have expected them to do if you looked back, if you turned back time to before that Gen G series, before the Nomshim series. Yeah. This is the T1 dominance that people expected when they saw the strength of schedule. And a win here for T1 all but guarantees, effectively, that they will be going to playoffs. It's not 100%, but it's like 99.
Yeah, and they're just so far ahead in terms of game score.
We were a little bit concerned after the loss to Nomshim, and it wasn't just the fact that they got 2-0'd by Nomshim, but it was the way in which they lost that gave people pause. But this is T1 back to business, back to strength here. As Keria, back-to-back games with some great engages. Faker teleports into the fight. It's a max range ultimate there onto a flashless Envy. And with the gold lead they have, the skirmishes that Bro are looking for are just putting them further and further behind. Baron is up here for T1. They've taken it. They've got that buff, and there's not that many turrets left to take on the map, to be frank with you, Valdez. Yeah. They're going for inhibitors now.
And this time in this game, you know, Bro, they hit a similar... Oh, no. I thought he was out. I was like, man, Fate, you're okay, right? Okay, flash away, actually. He's playing it very well.
I mean, this teleport, though, means...
Goes back in, and actually, Zeus just going to die. It's 1,000 gold to Corki, but meanwhile...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The TP means, guess what? Inhib's down. This is Bro, like, every time you think they got a thing, T1 got more things. Again, Valdez.
That has kind of been the name.
That's this game. It's just they're getting out macroed because they're so far behind.
Yeah, they hit their spikes. They couldn't do anything with it. They don't have the Rakan for the engage. They don't even have the Sejuani for more reliable gauge than the Poppy, like they did in game 1. Definitely feels like they took a couple of steps down in this draft, did Bro. And we're seeing kind of the outcome of it. I mean, alongside of just, you know, the gameplay and the execution.
At least the gold is picked up. Like, they get 1,000 gold to shut down on Zeus, so that's pretty huge. And they get 800 gold onto Morgan, who has basically no money. when he does end up taking that bountied inner turret in the top side. Fate plays this well. They do commit the teleport, so Zeus incredibly well played here, but nothing else he could have really done there. 1,000 gold goes over to the Corki, 800 gold goes over to Morgan in the follow-up. To trade for the inhibitor, though, and that means T1 is always going to have Prio on the bottom side. Soul Point is potentially on the cards.
Oh, whoa! Did Bro even realize? They're like, oh crap, we gotta get out of here. What do we do? Giga Chad goes for the engage, I guess, as now the front line is just being bombarded by MF as everybody comes in. Faker now is going to join the fight, looking for the ult. Everybody backs away, and now Morgan just going to be bullied in this front line, taken out as a lot of low health bars. We'll see if T1 do want to continue on this. Looks like they do. Envy going to dodge the shock blast. And the siege kind of lackluster from here.
Yeah, I mean, the secondary front line is Guma's ult, and he kept them at bay with that one. They did not have a fun time in the bullet time, and now with the teleport through, T1 looking to take a second inhibitor down and potentially even more super minions in the bottom lane. 2 of them stacked up here. They may be able to siege to end.
Yeah, I mean, Zeus is level 15, and he's just kind of parading through the base right now, like just waiting for the mid wave to come in and seeing if anyone's stuck around with low health. Now, okay, there's somebody with low health. He just healed from the fountain, but now he's low health from your shock blast. But either way, T1, they get the inhibitor. They don't have Baron. They're not going to overstay their welcome. But Bro really want to get something out of this, but they just will not be able to.
I mean, T1 has nothing left to take. It's like a Chemtech Soul Point. There's no more turrets. Yeah, he almost dies. Well, there's no more turrets for them to grab. Like, besides a top inhibitor, which is basically dead. So T1 are like, well, can we end? We kill somebody, we end. We can't. I guess we'll take the Chemtech. As 2 inhibitors down is going to be full map control. This is a wild setup here because they want to get Youngjae into position to maybe get Morgan into Counter-Strike range. This ult missing for Oner is a bit of a concern as the Poppy ult is coming through. Unfortunately here, the bullet time is the real front line, and it looks like maybe they got Oner low, Keria low. They can front to back this. Morgan goes on to Guma, but he's got the cleanse. And that's the end of the fight. Like, Fate's like, oh, can we clean this up? Envy's like holding his finger over the E key and wisely decides to E backwards as they end up losing the fight, losing their second inhibitor, and losing Soul Point.
It's just a very awkward fight. Like, you can see that Youngjae was holding on to the Poppy ult. He really wanted to verdict someone away, and then it just timed out. And he's like, oh. And then Morgan goes in. It's like, oh no, this just doesn't look good.
It's disjointed, and the
they
bullet
just run face first into an MF.
Yeah, the bullet time just says, all right, that's fun and all, but like, you're all dying now.
Well, the Bros gave it their all, and they're not done yet. They've got a TP behind T1.
I mean, Faker is trying to end the game meanwhile.
This is one way, I guess, to engage, as they are going to get Keria out. That doesn't really do much. Here comes Faker. Is going to find the backline. Just assassinates Envy. That is how far ahead they are, as finally Morgan comes in, but even MF Guma's just going to ult him in the face and just put an end to this game number 2, as Bros have suffered enough, and T1 are back on the horse. They get 2-0'd, but now they 2-0 Bro, and they're looking back in form as they will take this 2-0 tonight.
2-0, game 1, a little rough around the edge.